to the Ty's old coach. He said he was on there. Y'all used to be on there for an hour.
All right,
He couldn't shut up.
we are on.
Ready? And good evening. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here from the Highland Activities Center, our lobby, our little nook here. And of course, we've been gone for a couple of weeks, Thanksgiving break. I had to get one of those winter colds, and so I'm getting out of that form right now. So we are back after a 2-week hiatus, and basketball season is now underway. The Highlanders had their first game, both boys and girls, on Tuesday night, and we are joined by Assistant Coach Brandon Bradford. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Ty's getting practice going, and Coach Terry. But I guess the first question for you, Brandon, is just your thoughts on last night's game.
Last night's game, I think we were just a little, maybe nervous. Excited, nervous. First game of the season, new staff, new style of play. We did very good the first half. I feel both halves were very good. Where I feel like we kind of struggled at, we shot poor. We went like 11 for 34 from 3.
Okay.
So when you play that style of basketball, we know you live by the 3, you die by the 3. We didn't really get the penetration that we should have got. We are a better catch and shoot team. When things got kind of chaotic, we kind of went one-on-one back to the old school basketball. So we're trying to make it more of that team play, drive and kick, because we do have great shooters, like a Golden State style of basketball.
Yeah.
But with that, you have to be unselfish as well. So you can't, when you do get down, you have to stick to the process, just trusting the team. No one man can put a cape on and try to run the show yourself. It has to stay teamwork.
It looked like on one side defensively, you were causing turnovers, but you weren't getting points off those turnovers. Is that a mindset, Coach, to get those points?
Yes, sir. We have to. When we get those turnovers, we want to get transition. Them is the easiest points you're gonna get in the game. That's where you don't really have to have focus on offense. You fill the right lanes, you hit the gaps, and then you make the perfect pass. Yesterday we didn't get those lanes. We were kind of bunched up. We pointed out to the kids earlier, our wing guys didn't get those wings to fill those lanes to create those lanes for the layups. We was in the it was 8 minutes left in the game, I believe 6 or 8 in the second half. We was in the bonus.
Yeah.
And we didn't take advantage.
Right.
That was a perfect time when we were down to get to the basket, get some fouls, get some free throws in the game, and be able to get ourselves back in the game. So yes, that and transitions are very important in what we're looking for.
You mentioned 11 of 31 from threes, but 64 points last night, 85-64 the final. Is this, you looking guys, you want to get in the 70s, 60, 70 plus, or what kind of the mindset offensively, what's a number you guys would say, that's what we're trying to reach?
Well, with that is kind of sky the limit. It depends, because when we point out to the team today, we have a number of three-point shooters. Sure. There's not just one shooter like on the team. This one, I can really say there's like 9 to 10 guys that can shoot that 3. We haven't really hit the servers on what number, where that is. But yes, we are looking for a high 70, high 80-point game to be. We want to be a high-scoring game to put the pressure on the other team, but we also want to be a defensive team as well to get those stops. If we do play another good defensive team, we still want to be able to play that defense and still be able to score. So 70 points, 70 around that 78 range and up is what we are looking for.
What would you say is a Ty Terry coach team, or a Brandon Bradford? What kind of team you guys want to get to when you really get going? It's only been one game and a couple weeks of practice.
Well, knowing Coach Terry, we want defense. Defense win championships.
Yeah.
It starts on the defensive end. We got so much talent on the offense. It's like kind of like being in the NBA. You don't have to really worry about an offensive player. We don't need to go one-on-one. Everyone here can score. We got to get a dog on defense.
Yeah.
It starts there on defense, where the whole team got to buy, especially on help defense. If you seen last night, we didn't have too much good help defense. We let guys post each other up one-on-one to get easy layups. Guys were driving, and we were reaching instead of getting over there to the spots. And I know that's big with Coach Terry. What we're trying to do here is defense. And then on the offensive side, we are trying to be fast-paced and aggressive. We rather punch the bully in the mouth and then let them hit us in the mouth.
Yep.
We got some big guys on the team. We are one of the biggest teams in the EDC. So we are looking to take advantage of that with our physicalness and play. We are looking to be fast and physical, but also disciplined. That's our key thing that we look for is discipline. Know when to run those sets, know when to run that offense, but also get that rebound, go, push it, have fun, and play basketball. But the most thing is focus on that defense. Got to get stops.
When you talk about rebounding, if you're going to get in transition, that's where it starts. On the defensive end is getting that ball and getting going. It looked like Devils Lake was getting a lot of offensive rebounds last night.
Too many. Too many, especially when you're down. We're already, when that second half, we got down 10, and then they're getting a second opportunity to score. And then they do score. It does a lot. It makes you extra tired. You start to feel that fatigue. There's a basketball player, and you see you working hard after you get a stop. You don't get the rebound, they score, and you already down. And you look at the score and the time. Now it's a whole mental thing messing with you. So that rebound is so people don't understand is more than just that rebound because it does so much more to the game.
Right.
You like you hit it on. You get that rebound, less shots for them, more shots for us, and it's a better chance for us to get in that game.
Well, you got Wahpeton coming up here on Friday night, Coach, but because it's only game 2, new staff, you're still getting going. Are you more worried about the Valley City Highlanders and what you're bringing out, or are you still going to look at what Wahpeton is, maybe look at film or anything like that?
Oh, yes, we always look at film. We never disrespected a basketball team.
Right.
Every team in this EDC is good.
Yeah.
But, yes, we are focusing on our guys, what we did. We felt last night was more on us. We doesn't feel like Devil Lakes D'd us up to stop us from doing anything. We kind of stopped ourselves. Like I said, we three-point shooting team. We shot a lot of threes instead of the first half. We got a lot of assists on those threes.
Yeah.
We hit those threes because everyone was an assist to us, a catch and shoot. Second half, we kind of go one-on-one and try to throw those threes up. It just wasn't our night. That switches up. Like we know easily if that I said 11 for 34. We go 20 for 34 as a whole different ball game.
Exactly.
Whole different ball game.
Exactly. Well, as I mentioned, people know Ty Terry. People know Mark Matson, the C Squad coach, because he's from West Fargo. Brandon Bradford, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I went to school at Roosevelt High School in Minneapolis, one of the city schools there. My coaches was Frank Hinches, Dennis Stockmo. Those guys over there, man, taught me a lot. So that's where I came from. Then I went to college here at Wahpeton. One funny thing is I coached at Shanley last year for the C team. My college coach, Craig Irwin, he coached me, and now he's a head coach over there. So I was under Craig over there.
Okay.
At School of Science. He taught me a lot. Learned a lot from Craig. Had a great season over there with him and learned a lot from him. So that's how I got out here to good old North Dakota.
Yeah.
And then met Terry, met some good guys as we continued to play pro, try to chase that dream of playing pro ball.
You bet.
You know, then God blessed us with this, and this is how this worked out.
So you're not unfamiliar with EDC?
No, not at all. Not at all. Great talent here. I'm also the AAU coach in the summertime, so I coach I get to know a lot of the guys. Also a barber, so I get to cut some of the athletes' hair and talk basketball.
There
talk
you go.
with them and stuff. Mason Claybo come in, I cut him
Yep.
and cut a lot of the guys up. Connor Kraft, cut all those guys up. Very close with them, so I'm very familiar with these guys, and that's how I know how much talent is in North Dakota. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to coach here as well. Being from Minneapolis, North Dakota doesn't get the love that they should get. I was over there playing AAU when Jeff Boschee came down, and Travis Kraft and all those guys came down, and Jacobson. So I knew about those guys, and then it was like, wow, they really came down and dominated when they did come down to Minneapolis. So I knew basketball was here. And when I got up here to see it, I wanted to do anything just like Ty and these other coaches in EDC to do anything to bring that level up, to let them know, hey, man, there's a lot of athletes here that can go play D1, D2, D3, high JUCO. There's a lot of talent here.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you made it this far. Came west and got out of Fargo and got here got here in Valley City. But game 1's under the belt. Now the guys can relax, and now we worry about game 2, Wahpeton here on the road Friday night. But again, Brandon, I appreciate you joining us here tonight, and look forward to talking to you down the road.
Man, thank you for having me again. It's just a pure pleasure.
That's Brandon Bradford, assistant coach for the Valley City Highlanders. We'll be back with more of our Coach's Corner here from the HEC on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on the Highlander Activity Network at Coach's Corner here on this first Wednesday in December. Now we're heading over talking girls basketball, and Coach Jimmy Howard from the Highlander girls joining us. Coach, how you doing?
Good.
Number one in. You guys got game one in. Was it nice just to get back on the court and see someone in a different jersey here?
Yeah, we've been grinding for 2 weeks here, and it was time to see where we're at, and so it was fun to get out there. It was nice to get out one of the longer trips of the year early. Our little joke was that we made it up there this time because last year we got about part way up and had to turn around and come back and make a trip later. So it was nice to get that long trip done right away. And it was a good experience to get up there and play somebody else.
87-67 the final, but it was a 4-point game, I think, at halftime. And did I hear at halftime you had like 26 free throws, and it was 18 of 26 from the line, which is around 70%. I know you and I have talked about it. You harp on free throw shooting. That must have been nice to see you hitting those free throws.
Yeah, 18 of 26 from the free throw line. There were a lot of fouls. And we capitalized. And, in years past, we haven't capitalized at that percentage. I'd still like it to be a little bit higher, but, the girls really shot them well, which kept us in the game. We were struggling just, turnovers and first game jitters and some of that stuff. And so, making those free throws really kept us in the game. Carly Govan, I think, shot the most in the first half. And she really shot them well, and they were big, and it was a 4-point game at half.
I think she had 18 finished with. Sam Hatcher had 12. Would you say this team coming into this year, Jimmy, this is an experienced team?
Yeah, we got a lot of kids that have played varsity basketball. We're not super deep as far as experience goes in that point, but we got a lot of kids out there that have played minutes, and so we're expecting a lot, but we got sicknesses going through, a bunch of injuries that were really unexpected to start the season. And so a couple of our players that we're expecting big things out of, sick, injured, maybe things aren't going well. Carly Govan really stepped up. Sam really stepped up last night as far as the scoring goes. And so I hope that they can continue. And then as some of our other players that have been nicked up and sick come back, they'll start scoring. And, I would say we turned it over an unusual amount for us last night and missed a lot of easy baskets, and we still scored 67 points. Right. And two of our better players were not in our top scoring. So still a lot to look forward to with that. Defensively,
87 for Devils Lake. Was it one of those nights that they just, if it wanted up, it went in?
We gave up. We were slow in a few rotations, not disciplined in some of that stuff, and things that are easily correctable. Giving up 87, a lot of it was on sloppy turnovers where they got out and ran then for an easy layup because we turned it over on a fast break. I think in the half-court set, we actually did a really good job. And if it had been a half-court game, I think you've seen a completely different score. But we got to clean some of those turnovers up and not just give up that easy basket running down there. But defensively, we're pressing. We're trying to run the pace. Until the last 3 minutes, it was still a 10-point game. Yeah. And that's when we lost a few of our players. Tessa Olsen was out. Drew had fouled out. And so we had lost a few of our ball handlers. I think Sam had 4 fouls at that point. And so, some inexperience came in as well. And so learning point. But really it was not a lot to complain about, a lot of easily correctable errors. Mm-hmm. And it was 10 points with 3 minutes to go. The score doesn't indicate the closeness of the game throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, when you lose your ball handlers, and now you're asking people that aren't used to handling the ball,
correct,
that they've got to do it and then put a little undue pressure on them. And being it's the first game, there's going to be some jitters in there. And you look at the roster, I think, 3 or 4 seniors, about 3 juniors, a lot of freshmen and sophomore. Is this going to be, baptism by fire for some of these younger players?
Yeah, and Dakota Potratz had a step in last night. She had a really good move, scored 2 points on the offensive end. You could tell she was a little bit nervous, but but she stepped in and played pretty well. Kinley Suffolk had to step in the second half, had to play a few more minutes due to foul trouble and stuff. She had 4 points. She had a steal. She read a reversal, picked it off, went down for an easy layup. And so a little bit of baptism by fire. Lucky for us, a lot of those freshmen played with us this summer and things, so they're used to playing with the girls. The competition obviously ramps up and it's a little bit different, but I think, building towards the future as well with trying to win here currently, there's a lot of bright spots. Even if both teams, JV went into overtime, lost by a last second 3, and our game was much closer than the score indicates. Very positive.
And these freshmen are going to find out it's a little faster than junior high basketball.
Yeah, and pressing, that's new.
Yep.
For them. And so we're doing it, and there's a lot of length those girls like to run, and so it all fits into this up tempo, and we're trying to push the pace, and I think the girls are enjoying it. So they had said they don't want to play in a half court setting, and I was like, perfect, because that is not how I want to coach. So we're up tempo and just got to get in shape for it.
and that's part of it. You got to get in the basketball shape, and that's going to probably take a little bit of time. Wahpeton, I think, coming up here on Friday night, the home opener. If memory serves, the Huskies went to state last year, which I think was the first time for Coach Watson in a long time that Wahpeton had been at state. What do you expect out of the Huskies?
Strong defense, multiple fronts, 2-3, 1-3-1, a little bit of pressing. Saw they had a diamond. A lot of Scout Woods.
Yeah.
And then, they lost their point guard. She had a move. But they brought in some other players that are very good in that position. They take care of the basketball. I expect it to be a good game. Last year in the playoffs, it was maybe the best game of the weekend.
Yeah.
The atmosphere was phenomenal in that game. I think that if we're healthy, that's the big key. If we're healthy, I think we can go toe-to-toe with them, and I think it'd be a very exciting game. We'll find out tomorrow where some of our kids are at, but health is playing a big issue here before Christmas break for us. So, it'd be nice to have everyone for a home game with them, but we're trying to look at the long road as well, and if we've got to rest some players to get them healthy, and have them healthy the rest of the season versus 80%, we're going to have to make that call. But, if we got everyone, I expect it to be a really good game.
And it's always been, you seem to always have some good games with Wahpeton, either down there or here. It's just always good competitive basketball.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like I said, and I talked with Coach Watson last year. When that was done, it was like that's how games are supposed to be all year. And so, they're in the same boat we are in some of that at retrospect with size of school and that stuff, and I don't want to get into that. But, man, that if you could bottle up that game from last year, like I told the girls, I said it was a really fun experience, for them in that atmosphere, but I want a little revenge.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Well, final question for you. Have you guys talked about goals, expectations for this year?
Yeah, we have high expectations. Whether or not there's a lot of people that feel that we're that team, we do have lofty expectations. This summer was different. I always say we have a pretty good summer. There was just a different feel. Once again, though, health is going to play a huge part into that. But we do have really high expectations. We want to host. We'd like to get out of the playing game, but we want to host it. We want to play that last game trying to get to state. And realistically, our goal is to get there. It's not just to host a playoff game. It's not just to be better than last year. We think we've got the group that if we can get the experience through the season with some of our freshmen, stay healthy, we think we can surprise some people. And the girls are putting in the work. And at the end of the season, if everything doesn't pan out that way, it's not because we didn't work hard enough to try to get there.
Yeah. All right, well, game one of, 2022 games is in the book. So a lot more basketball yet to be played. And again, right here Friday night with Wahpeton, 5:30 for the junior varsity around 7:15. And, of course, you'll be able to watch both games right here on the Highline Activity Network. Coach, again, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk again.
Thanks, and go Highliners.
Coach Jimmy Howard from the Valley City Highlander Girls Basketball back with more Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highland Activity Network. Back here on the Highland Activity Network, Coach's Corner here on this Wednesday evening, the first Wednesday of December. And now we head into the wrestling room, and co-head coach Trevor Hansen joining us. TJ, how you doing?
Doing well, doing good. Family's doing good, and I guess my family's staving off the sickness a little bit. So.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want any athletes coming tonight. I still got the crud. I didn't want anybody to come around me that I don't care about you coaches. I just don't want the athletes to get sick.
Yep.
You're like, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Well, since the last time we chatted, since we were off the last couple of weeks, a lot of wrestling has happened. A couple of duels, well, 3, because you had 2 last night, had a triangular, and that actually got moved from January to last night, the Fargo South with Monoma and Wahpeton, didn't it?
Yeah, we were supposed to duel them on the 26th of January, and the Fargo South coach emailed us early last week and said we were supposed to duel Wob and Monoman, and then they were supposed to also duel Badger, Greenbush, Middle River, which they backed out on their triangular, so that was down to just a duel.
Sure.
Fargo South doesn't have a lot of wrestlers, so us traveling to Fargo South for a duel that is not going to last very long and is, fairly lopsided for us. It was a much better result, or much better, I guess, opportunity for us to wrestle yesterday and get another duel that was a tougher duel and get a lot of JV matches.
We'll talk about the Monoman Waban duel, because really with South duel there wasn't much to talk about. 83-0 the final with a lot of forfeits, as you mentioned. But is it tough when you know you're going into a match like that? And I think we've talked about this before. I don't care who the opponent is, where you know you're going to see a lot of forfeits.
Yeah, well, Coach Larson likes to always say, sometimes it might be better for us to just stay home and practice. I mean, honestly, if we're going to go for one duel and it's going to be 7 matches and then we're going to turn around and come home, he's like, it'd be better if we had a practice, because then our guys would work harder and get better in better shape and hone their skills a little bit. And I think it's hard for our kids to get up for that, to get motivated and be excited and the atmosphere. So.
Well, the Monoman Wapaton match, they got off to a good start in the lower weights. Did I don't know if they're the Bombers because I think that's what the Waban nickname is, but that's beside the point, because it was 21-0 early on, because they started, I think, at 113, and they got off to a good start, and then the middleweights came back a little bit. Is that something kind of expected, or was it an unknown team that you were facing?
We had researched them pretty well and had seen their results from the Hillsboro dual tournaments. We had seen some of their results, but I don't know a lot of those Class B kids that aren't upper level, and so we just knew that some of their lightweights were older. So usually, like their 6-pounder, which was our final match, was a junior. So when you have a junior at 106 pounds, usually they're going to be pretty tough. At least they're going to be pretty strong, and that. So. But yeah, we knew their 20-pounder was good, their 13-pounder was just fine, and their 6-pounder was good. And we knew, we were going to struggle with those weights.
But good experience for your young wrestlers facing those kind of wrestlers, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think Chase Coughlin wrestled one of his better matches of the whole year, even though he lost. Got pinned late in 30, 40 seconds left in the match. But he wrestled a junior, again, a very tough kid. He took him down with some leg shots, which Chase is trying to perfect those and getting much better at them. So good for him. Tyson Clable, good for him to wrestle a tough kid and get some experience. And every one of our better wrestlers that we've had throughout the years has, always wrestled as a 7th and 8th grader and kind of developed their skills, or they've been pretty good to begin with and then have progressed on into, freshman and sophomore year and gotten a lot better. So.
Well, I don't know if it was you and I or Aaron and I and used to say, Coy Greba wasn't always this good. When he was in 7th and 8th grade, he was counting ceiling tiles every once in a while, and it takes a while to develop as a young wrestler, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And, the jump from 6th grade to 7th grade is humongous. I mean, you're 6th grade, and you go to a bunch of tournaments all over the, state or South Dakota and Minnesota, and you can find tough ones, but you always get into some where you're, maybe not wrestling the best competition, or you're the older kid in the group, and you find some lesser competition, and then you can kind of do whatever you want, whenever you want, rather than being technically sound and solid in every movement and stuff like that. So now you're a 7th grader, generally wrestling, obviously 7th grade and above, but sometimes you're wrestling 8th and 9th graders that have some experience, and it's just a big jump. It's a big jump from 6th to 7th.
I talked about this before, but a large wrestling room. You've got a lot of numbers with girls and the boys, junior varsity. Does it make for fun practices when you've got a busy wrestling room and a full room?
Yeah, I mean, I like the kids, the amount. I like the number to be up there so that we can have some backups, and we have some kids when we're hurt or when we're banged up or when we don't feel good and need someone else. Like Colton Griebel was sick yesterday, and so was Espen Kunze. He's kind of banged up, so we're nursing him through a little injury, and weight, he's descending and weight stuff and that stuff. So we're it's nice to have some kids on the backup to take those spots. It's a little bit tough because we have a lot of new kids, like brand new. You know, they might be a junior or a sophomore, but they're brand new at wrestling. So that makes it challenging. We have to figure out how we're going to run practice. The other day, we even ran a split practice at the same time. We split groups. We put one group of younger, newer wrestlers and most of the girls, because most of them are newer wrestlers as well, and then our older guys, and we kind of just split practice, and we worked on different types of stuff because those young wrestlers need to learn the basics and the the things you can and can't do, legal and illegal, and stuff like that. So they need to learn how to dress a wrestling match.
Well, you mentioned girls. I think we have 9 girls that are wrestling for us. So, and I think we had every one of them, or just about everyone, placed at the Jamestown tournament at the Knights of Columbus. How's that been, just seeing the growth of the girls wrestling program?
Well, it's good. It's good. We need to consistently have 6 or 8 in there to get this program on its feet. We are facing some challenges. We are trying to start our own team with just our school, where West Fargo took the whole city and developed one wrestling team from all the West Fargo high schools, which, of course, if we all know that they're much bigger than us.
Right.
And with them being a lot larger and then combining to make a team, you get 5-10 girls from each school, you got a team pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And same thing with Fargo. They're doing the same thing. All Fargo schools are combining for girls. So I like the girls' enthusiasm. I like how they come to practice ready to learn. They do their best. They work hard. And we got a few girls that are pretty experienced. Deegan Kirschman and Miley Christensen and Gabby Hannig have all been wrestling for, well, Deegan and Miley a few years, but Gabby's been wrestling since she was little, and she's wrestled lots of tournaments and, mostly boys, but girls tournaments when she can. And Gabby's gonna be fun to watch because she's gonna be placing high this year, and I feel like she's got a very good, future. Very good future.
If memory serves, didn't she represent Team North Dakota here in a tournament last summer?
Yep. She made their middle school dual team.
Yep. Now, coming up this weekend, Satroma, Grand Forks at the Satroma tournament Friday and Saturday. Dual, is this a dual tournament? Is it Stewartville? I think a team out of Minnesota that you have on Friday night. Do you know, I looked at the Guillotine, that's the magazine in Minnesota. They're not ranked, but still, do you know anything about Stewartville?
I don't. I have not researched them yet. That's a tonight and tomorrow thing. We'll do some research and get down to if they have any ranked kids or if they have any anything on track wrestling that we can find. See, Minnesota's a different animal. They don't have descending plans, so their kids can weigh in at whatever weight they want at any time. Like if their minimum weight class is, say, 145, they can weigh at 145 one week and 152 the next and 160 the next, and then back down to 145, where North Dakota, you can't do that. So so some of that is sometimes they adjust weight classes.
Yeah.
We wrestled them last year. We did beat them last year. So, I have not looked at anything, but Aaron and I will look at that either tonight or tomorrow night, and then, or we'll both look, and then we'll converse like, hey, this guy or that guy, and we'll find how we can strategize to win the duel.
Final question for you, Trevor. Any surprises or anything that has surprised you here early on with this team? Or pleasantly surprised, like, oh, that came out of nowhere?
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, other than our 7 seniors came back out. They're all there, and we really needed that. We really wanted that. Of course, surprised with Ethan Miller, of course, injured, and that stinks, and that takes a lot from our team. Ethan was a very integral part for the last few years, and still will be, but that stinks. What has pleasantly surprised me probably the most is young kids and how hard they're working. Okay, or I should say new kids, because some of them are juniors. We got a junior, Carter Jewett. He's in the room every day. He's working hard. He's doing the best he can, and he's brand new. He's a junior, but he's brand new. And some of that has got to be a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of apprehension to coming into a sport like wrestling. And for example, I always make the example of basketball, football, baseball, a lot of times kids do that when they're little. They just play it. They go out and throw the ball around. They do whatever, right? Well, not many times do you throw a soft pad down on the ground and start doing actual wrestling moves. You might wrestle around and tussle a little bit, but we don't play wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
That's something you have to do. So the encouragement that I see in some of those young kids, you know, we got a 7th grader, Leighton Hendrickson, Corbin Powell, a freshman. He wrestled way back when he was little and was very good, and he is doing very well. But he just works hard. They do what you ask, and that's all we can ask for ourselves is just follow our direction, and you'll have success. And we're surprised and excited about how hard they work, you know.
Well, it's going to be another great year for Highliner Wrestling, 2-1 right now in the EDC. Of course, lost that tough one to Davies, 39-31. But you knew Davies was going to be a tough duel. They're right up there with Cheyenne. You knew it was gonna be there. But maybe you see him again down the road. Probably will. You never know. And it's going to be a fun year. It usually is with Highliner Wrestling. There's a lot of expectations when you put on that singlet. When you get in that wrestling room, the bar is set pretty high, and that's kind of the mindset too, isn't it?
Yep. We've been successful. We demand hard work, and we demand us to put ourselves in the best position, and we have a pretty good tournament team as an individual tournament. So you'll see that coming out here in the next few weeks when we wrestle the Valley City tournament, the Rotary, the Rumble, the Lisbon and rugby. We have a bunch of individual tournaments. You're going to see us shine a little bit more because we have 6, 7 hammers in our lineup, and those kids are going to be up on that podium. The bigger the tournament, the better we'll do.
Circle December 17th on your calendar. That's the Highliner Holiday Tournament. That's the first time they'll be here at the Hack. Been Road Warriors here the first part of the year. But December 17th, the Highliner Tournament here at the Hack, that is the first time you'll see these Highliner wrestlers here at home. Trevor, again, thanks much for joining us, and look forward to talking throughout the year, and good luck this weekend in Grand Forks.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us on.
You bet. Coach Trevor Hansen from the Highliners will be back and wrap things up for this week's edition of Coach's Corner on the Highliner Activity Network. And back here on the Highlander Activity Network, and wrapping things up with Coach's Corner. And, of course, one of the things that we wrap up with is what's on the horizon here on the Highlander Activity Network. And coming up here tomorrow on Thursday at 2 o'clock, the 4th grade Christmas program. That'll be from Washington Elementary. And you can see that here on the Highlander Activity Network at 4 o'clock. And then there is another show at 7 that you can go to in person. We won't have that on the Highland TV Network, but they do have the matinee. We will have at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, the 4th grade Christmas program from Washington. And then girls basketball Friday night, junior varsity at 5:30, varsity at 7:15 as they take on the Wahpeton Huskies home opener for the Highlander girls. And that will be coming up here again on Friday night, 5:30 junior varsity and 7:15 for the varsity. And of course, we'll be back next Wednesday with another edition of Coach's Corner, our final show before the holiday break. And we'll have that next week, 6 o'clock, right back here at the Hack. So my thanks again to our coaches tonight joining us. Brandon Bradford, assistant coach from the Highlander basketball, Jimmy Howard from the girls basketball team, and Trevor Hansen, co-head coach from the Highlander Wrestlers, joining us on the show this evening. Also Derek Bear, our technical director and cameraman this evening. And as usual, our sponsors. I always want to thank our sponsors, the Highlander Booster Club and Essentia Health, for helping us out here on the Highlander Activity Network. We'll be back next week, 6 o'clock, here at the Hack for another edition of Coach's Corner here on the Highlander Activity Network.